discussion on omega block, atmospheric and weather conditions, which is source of producing heat wave largely in Western Europe and related human and economic hardships. Remember that omega block, atmospheric and weather conditions, related heat wave and burning of Europe could be understood with the intersection of geography, atmospheric physics interacting with demography and infrastructure. Our entire study is divided into four sections. First section is concentrating on understanding of upper tropospheric westerly polar jet stream and its unusual bending forming a shape of omega. Second, how this unusual poleward bending and meandering of polar jet stream is source of unusual heat and temperature. Third section is concentrating on surface and atmospheric conditions producing human and economic hardships, and fourth section is concentrating on a way out to overcome death and destructions related with unusual heat wave conditions. First and foremost, remember that Europe is a temperate and cool temperate climatic zone. Poleward of polar front in upper troposphere, there is upper tropospheric westerly polar jet stream, which is largely zonal. But in recent times, this zonal upper tropospheric westerly polar jet stream has taken unusual bending and meandering poleward, most importantly above Western Europe. This poleward unusual bending and meandering has created an atmospheric condition which is also described as low pressure, high pressure, low pressure system. Remember that this unusual bending, meandering in upper troposphere of westerly polar jet stream is source of formation of blocking anticyclones. These blocking anticyclones are formed in following way. Remember that this unusual bending, poleward bending and meandering is known as regia crest of polar jet stream, in which inflow is stronger as it is flowing from low to high latitudes, and outflow is slow because flow is from high to low latitudes. Thus, there is sinking of air. This sinking of air is adiabatically or dynamically compressed. With the compression, high pressure originate with high heat and temperature. Remember that high pressure is described as anticyclonic system. Thus, these anticyclonic systems are described as omega block anticyclones. This compression is source of unusual heat and temperature that is compounded with, since anticyclonic conditions produce cloudless and rainless skies. And remember that in the summers days are longer in Europe, being in temperate zone. Thus heat is further building up, so there is further rise in the temperature. Remember that this sinking of air is also source of a cap known as temperature inversion cap that helps in trapping of heat, that is also described as doming of heat. Remember that this low pressure, high pressure, low pressure system, since it has atmospheric interlocking, thus it has inertia, thus it has got stationed over Europe for a relatively longer duration, further compounding heat and temperature. Other than these atmospheric physical phenomena, heat is also compounding, temperature is also increasing because of emission of heat from the man-made systems like vehicles, factories, and other infrastructures like thermal power plants. Scientists are also saying that this compounding is further assisted by global warming. Remember that in respect of pre-industrial temperature, now temperature of Earth has risen by 1.3 degrees centigrade. Thus, all these phenomena are producing a cumulative effect through which maximum temperature of daytime is hovering 40 degrees centigrade and above, and that is producing a heat wave condition. Let us come down to effects of heat wave condition. Remember that heat wave, yeah, unusual rise in temperature in countries in temperate zone is source of heat stress. Heat stress is source of sunstroke. Sunstroke is source of illness, hospitalization, as well as death. With the rapid sweating, there is also problem of dehydration, rise in body temperature, fainting of the people, and in some cases instant death. There is surge in electricity demand, putting a heavy pressure on power grids, rise in the cases of forest and bushfire. There are also environmental and ecological challenges with the warming of water. Aquatic systems are getting threatened in form of aquatic animal and plant life. Warm water in the rivers and streams is unfit for being used as a coolant in thermal power plants, in nuclear power plants. There is melting of bituminous asphalt on the road, because you know that Europe is a temperate country, so they use a softer form of bituminous asphalt which is not able to tolerate a temperature moving above 40 degrees centigrade. So these are the challenges faced by countries like France, southeastern England, Italy, Portugal, and all those in Europe. Now let us come down to way out. So there must be a comprehensive and integral heat action plan that must include both cold wave conditions as well as heat wave conditions. There must be improvement in climatic adaptation, means that adaptation is required for both techno-economic adaptations as well as human adaptation. There must be enhancement in systems responsible for urban cooling. There must be upgradation of power grids so that they become resilient to heat as well as cold wave conditions, and there must be emphasis on ecosystem conservation by integrating techno-economic measures and socio-cultural and psychological changes in human outlook, so that there are better adaptation, there are better living, there are better survival and sustainability. Thank you all.